Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Ah, man. Well, we're here. You already know what it is, so let's get into this. The New York Knicks entered tonight's game against the Miami Heat, looking to end their 2-game losing streak. And from the way that it started, you thought it was going to be a good one. You thought it was going to be another game where it came down to the wire. However, the Heat decided to put the clamps on the New York Knicks, stopping Brunson and everybody else from scoring in that first quarter. But thank God for Deuce McBride, Dante DiVincenzo, and Bojan Bogdanovic, because without those guys, the Knicks wouldn't even be close in this game. All right, because Brunson just had an off night tonight. You saw that he couldn't even get further into double digits until in the second half. But thank God for those guys. Obviously, we saw the New York Knicks turn it up in the third quarter, and we even had a tied game in the fourth. All we needed was Captain Clutch to come through and put us into the victor's column. Unfortunately, that's not what we got. Unfortunately, we had Precious Achiuwa with an untimely foul on Terry Rozier, who was hot tonight. Terry could have missed the broadside of a barnyard if he even tried, man. That man was just on one. With Precious's foul on Terry Rozier, you give the Heat essentially the easy pass to get the victory. And unfortunately, the New York Knicks would end up losing this game 109-99, allowing the Eastern Conference playoff race to become that much tighter. But you already know what it is. We're going to discuss it all here tonight. Welcome to KFTV Postgame Live. I'm Alex Trataros, a.k.a. the Tratacaster. With me on the other side is my guy, Jeff Johnson. Make sure to tap in through the Discord tonight. That's the only way we're taking calls. So download the app, go to the web browser, whatever fits your fancy, all right? TM, if you could be oh so grateful, drop it in the chat so people know where to go. Also, remember, this show is sponsored by Manscape and Underdog Fantasy. Man, Jeff, I don't even know what. It's tough, man. We're on a 3-game skid. I just had to watch Scary Terry. You know, it felt like scary hours out there watching him just not miss a shot tonight. I don't know what. It was tough, man. This was a tough loss. It's not great seeing the Knicks on a 3-game skid. The Eastern Conference becoming that much tighter. What are your thoughts, man? How are you feeling after this one?
I hate the Heat so much.
I hate them so much.
I really hate
bro.
them.
I hate them.
I've probably hated them in past lives, and they weren't even in existence. I hate that team so much. I hate losing to them, and I hate losing to them in close games. I really do. But this is a losing streak at the worst possible moment, and I feel like we're kind of reliving the same type of losses over and over and over again, and it's almost as if they're finding new ways to lose in the same exact way. Giving up a lead early, fighting all the way back, and they don't have enough to get over the hump. One game, it's not getting a call. Another game, it's a random 3 that goes in. This game, Terry Rozier looks like he wants to get back to the playoffs, and he's had his best game as a member of the Heat, and of course that happens against the Knicks. Time and time again down the stretch, execution issues, and I think we're just seeing that with this current personnel that they have on the floor, there's a razor-thin margin for error. They're going to have to play as close to perfect as possible to get over the hump, and there's certain things they can't do. And one thing they can't overcome is if Jalen Brunson has a bad game. And we saw he was kind of locked up for most of the night. Haywood Highsmith, shout out to the Heat. They and their defense, they're the second in defensive rating since the All-Star break. They're second in defensive rating, and they showed you why. They muddied up the game. He wasn't able to be his usual self. He had some costly turnovers and plays towards the end of the game. I'm not throwing him under the bus. I'm just calling it like I see it. But he's allowed to have an off game. But at this point with this roster, the Knicks can't afford it. The Knicks can't afford it, and we're seeing it now. And it's just frustrating because these other teams the Knicks need to lose are losing, and they can't capitalize off of it. So I have more concerns than I did the last time we spoke. I'll put it to you like that.
Oh, man. And shout out to my guy, chief moderator in Works right now. We got TM in the chat. Shout out to you for also being a franchise channel member. He said JB gets a pass. Absolutely. Shout out to apostle in the making. Been a franchise channel for 14 months. Salute to you. Says, don't you all dare crucify Brunson for one bad shooting game. Hashtag still MVP. And I agree. Look, Brunson's still that dude on this team. I mean, tonight he had an off night. He's allowed to have an off night. Okay. He is probably exhausted from having to essentially carry this team for the most part. And just like everybody else, like he's doing most of the work because he's that guy that everyone wants to focus in on defensively, right? Because he can get to any spot. Tonight wasn't his night. Even when he did get to his spots, you saw that he was coming up short. Why? Because he's probably exhausted from getting double team, triple team, whatever it was throughout the rest of this game. I mean, from the jump, you know, Eric Spoelstra was saying, Jimmy, you're going to be on Brunson. We're going to make sure that everybody, we have a body. We have at least 2 bodies on him because we cannot allow him to get an easy look. We cannot allow him to go down the lane easily either. We have to make somebody else beat us tonight. And that's what they did. And, you know, you had good shooting performances from Dante. You had a solid bench performance from Bogdanovich. You had a solid game from Deuce McBride. But that just still wasn't enough to keep this team into it because it comes down to shot efficiency as well, right? And when you have Brunson just going 5 of 17, that's just wasted shots that weren't going in. And so when you look at that, when you look at Terry Rozier, who went 10 of 15 tonight, 8 of 11 from downtown to get you 34 points, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. And he's just quick, man. I mean, for his ability just to create space for himself, just to knock down shots, you know, that's why you see the Heat went out to go get him from Charlotte. But when you have to face something like that, a guy who's just shooting, you know, in just, I don't even know, like he's having a masterclass performance tonight, right? One Terry Rozier. You need something close to that. And if you're not going to get that from Brunson, you need it from somebody else. And we just didn't have it, man. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to not have Brunson play so well and then lose one, especially to the Miami Heat, because you look at these Eastern Conference standings and you're like, you need Brunson as much as possible. You need somebody else to step up as much as possible. Last show we did with CP, right? We talked about how against the Thunder, you needed somebody else. We needed Dante DiVincenzo to show up in that game. Dante didn't show up. Now you need Brunson to show up, but everybody's just had to put on, you know, everyone's had to work harder at their role because not having Randall, not having OG, not having Mitchell Robinson, even though we had him tonight, but not having all these guys for so long, everyone's just getting tired, man. So it only makes sense that in a night like tonight where Brunson's playing 36 minutes and you're trying to rest him for the playoffs, tonight was just an off night, man, because he's had to do so much. But it doesn't help when he's getting fouled either, Jeff. It doesn't help where he's getting constantly fouled.
I have to take a breath because I've been yelling out the top of my lungs about these foul calls or lack of foul calls. And it's evident. I've had proprioception experts and bodily control people try to tell me how Lou Dort colliding with Jalen Brunson in the air was incidental content. Wow. Incidental content. I don't think I've ever hated 2 words in a span of time other than incidental contact. You know what the incident is, Alex? The incident is that he got hit out of the air, changed his direction. I don't know what happens on other Earths. On this Earth, physics works in a way where if I'm traveling in one direction and someone collides with me in the opposite direction with more force, I go in a different direction and I foul. You got people trying to call Jalen Brunson a foul merchant. Like, what are you talking about? Just because he shakes people out of his shoes and they have to catch up. And guess what they do when they have to catch up? They smack him in the face. They hold his arm. They bump him. And you don't call it. It has a negative effect on the team where Jalen Brunson is a stout dude, but he's not tall. So his proportion to his height to his actual weight is affected negatively when he's getting hit repeatedly. And they say that about shorter players. They'll wear down more easily through the night, through the course of a game, if those calls aren't being made and you're allowed to play not just regular physical, but physical to the point where the contact that constitutes a foul is not being called. Eventually, you will get to the fourth quarter and overtimes where Jalen doesn't have any more left in him. And I don't know at this point whether he got lumped into the mercantile of fouling, that foul merchant guild, where they considered him one of the America's most wanted of foul merchants, and they just said for him, for Trae Young, for Harden, for everybody, we're just not gonna call those fouls. Like the when there was a point in the season where if I dropped my shoulder and I made contact with you, they were calling a foul on the defense, and that did need to get legislated out. But I can't stand folks telling me what's a foul and what's not when we all have the same pair of eyes. But obviously we don't have the same matter between those eyes that can process what's happening in front of us. It's having a negative effect. And at this point, I think Jalen is just going to have to accept that for whatever reason, they're not calling these calls. And there's got to be a way to overcome it. I don't know if he can do it with the current roster. And that's the problem. When he wasn't getting those calls before, he had an OG, he had a Julius to back him up, to support him to where he can get easier shots and not feel like he has to kill himself. But out, like, he's getting fouled on 3-point shots, and I see Terry getting those same calls in his favor, but Brunson isn't getting those calls. There was a play, I can't remember what it was. Oh, Caleb Martin, stiff arm. Derrick Henry stiff arms him, knocks him to the ground. No call. Then we go on the other end. Deuce collides with Jaime Jaquez, and they call a travel because he got bumped. And the reason why he walked was because he got fouled. Like, what are we doing here? It isn't the reason why they lost, but it is a contributing factor when the games are close that tilt the game in the opponent's hands. And I think it's as much of a discussion point as everything else.
For sure. And shout out to Mr. G in the chat saying, you know, tonight's night wasn't based on the refs. Sure, you can look at that. I agree with that. We're not saying that it's the refs that caused the Knicks to lose tonight. Look, Brunson still got to the free throw line, shot 10 attempts, but the fact of the matter is that the refs dictate the flow and the physicality of the game. And so if you're not going to call it evenly throughout what the foul is, that allows players to get away with maybe a little bit of an extra bump here, maybe a little bit of extra bump there. And it just starts to add on over time. And it's not a fairly officiated game, especially when you start seeing, as Jeff pointed out, McBride's getting bumped by Caleb Martin, but then, you're like, that's a foul, or that's not a foul, right? And then you look at the other side where Brunson's just getting mauled left and right. And you're like, at what point does it take for him to get a call or just to change how the game as a whole is called? Like, if you're saying the entire game is just going to be super physical and no one's going to get to the line that often, then fine. Be that. But I think the issue, it's not that I think. The issue is that it's uneven throughout the entire game. And so, like, the flow of the game can be a little choppy. What is allowed at the beginning of the game starts to change over the course of time. Can we go in there with the mindset of saying, all right, we're going to start off like this, and then if you got a course correct because it's getting out of hand, that's one thing. But it's not, I don't see anything getting out of hand where you're trying to prevent players from hurting each other. It just seems like it just changes on what you want to consider a foul down by the quarter, even down by the minute. And that's just not good for an entire game of basketball. That's not just a Knicks issue. It's an entire league issue where guys are like, yo, how are we officiating these games? Is there a game plan for them to come in here for the refs to say, this is what we're looking for on a game to game basis? We know they do their scouting reports to say, this is what the tendencies of some players are. This is the physical nature of some other players. This is how other players play the game. But it just doesn't seem like there's a full plan for how they're going to officiate this game. And I mean, even have Tom Thibodeau. So Daniel, if you could pull up the clip of Tom Thibodeau talking about Brunson getting fouled, let's just hear what he has to say.
Getting fouled. He's 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 getting fouled.
There you go. And there you have it. We have our own head coach saying he's getting fouled. He's getting fouled. He's getting fouled. And that, he gets up and walks away. So is it just us saying that? Oh, it's no, it's just like we're watching the game. We're all watching it. No one, like I said, no one's blaming the refs for tonight. No one's blaming to say the refs are the sole reason the Knicks lost. The Knicks could not score. That we understand that. But if you want this game to be played, have it called evenly throughout all 48 minutes. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking for, Jeff. I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking for that.
You know what I used to be funny in NBA games back in the day, where you would see the adjustment in real time where they tightened up the game, and it would happen to both teams. So one player would come down, get bumped, they call a quick foul. Then they go down the other side of the court. Same thing would happen. They would call a foul. Then all of a sudden, the fans would get in an uproar and start chanting, "Let them play. Let them play," which is an acknowledgement by the fans that can see with their own two eyes. All right, refs, we understand you're trying to contain it, because usually it would happen after an altercation. Dudes is trying to fake fight, however you want to see it. And they want to calm it down so that it doesn't explode. But the fans can recognize it, see, hey, y'all are calling this game too tight. We didn't come here to see y'all make calls. We came here to see these elite NBA players ball out. So please stop calling so many fouls. Now what I'm seeing is that it's more of like a scale trying to even itself, where there'll be an imbalance here, and then they'll skew imbalance the other way. And the problem with that is this Knicks team at this moment cannot overcome those mood swing foul calls. They can't. And I hate to say it, but this is what they're showing us right now. They're not going to quit. They're going to fight for 48 minutes. They always got one run left in them to make it close, but something will happen that's a game breaker that puts the game out of arm's reach, whether it's the Haywood Highsmith 3 when they were tied, when they came all the way back and tied. He hit that 3 and it was the breathing room that they needed, and then they were fighting for the rest of the way. Or Shea's shot, right? Shea's shot at the end. You'll get those things, or J. Will 3. You'll get those moments that will put the game just enough out of reach that the Knicks can't get over the hump. But then it's not just about fouls, though, Alex. There's a lot of other calls that have impacted the Knicks outside of Brunson not getting foul call. I think y'all touched on it a little bit after the OKC game. That whole night was like a blur after that game, because I was so pissed off at the way it ended. But that overturned call on Josh Hart, where Kenrick Williams blocked him and it was clean, but he was hand checking him the whole way down, and I guess that's incidental contact. The incident was that he was getting hand checked, but y'all didn't want to call that a foul, right? They gave him a successful challenge, which means they saved the timeout. If all that stuff happens with Brunson at the end of the game, they have no timeout to advance the ball, which means they have to go to the length of the court in 4 seconds instead of being able to set up a play, which led to that game-winning shot. These are the type of plays that compound and compound and compound and lead to these unfavorable outcomes that contribute to it. It isn't the reason, but it contributes to it. If you have a leak in your house and it's raining and the rain stops and your roof is just on the verge of collapse and you're like, whew, I'm glad the sun's gonna come out, get some of this water out of here, and I'm good. And someone comes and dumps up one more bucket of water on top of your roof. Guess what? It's going to collapse. It's going to collapse. And that's what those foul calls are feeling like right now, or just the imbalanced officiating. It's wild annoying. And it's now become too much of a story with this current Knicks squad.
Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another KFTV Postgame Live. I'm Alex Trataros, a.k.a. the Stratocaster. With me on the other side is my guy, Jeff Johnson. We are taking calls by Discord tonight. We got some of you on the line, so let's make sure to go to the Discord right now and hear what you guys have to say. So let's go to Keith Cap 22. Keith Cap 22. If you're there right now, unmute your mic, man. Let's hear what you got to say about this game.
How you guys doing?
Good, Keith. Good. How are you doing today, man? How are you feeling? How are you feeling after this loss?
I'm a little frustrated. I think again the officiating is, I don't see a world anymore. I think we're at the point now. Jalen Brunson is to average 40 to get some respect in the league, and I know, after watching the post game, I heard Tibbs was getting is starting to get show his frustration and not care as much, and he's not being so quiet about it. And I do think that eventually yes, we did good without OG and OB and Julius Randle. But I think at this time, our guys are obviously it hurts to say this, our guys are getting really burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
And, it sucks. It's unfortunate. But I think once you get a healthy team, whether that be God willingly this year or next year, I think that we will have something to fight for. I just think that our guys are just so burnt out, and we need those two to come in and help us. And if you're a Julius Randle hater, we can't hate because it's clear that we need him.
Appreciate the call, Keith. Appreciate the call. Look, man. It's if you're watching this team, you totally need Julius. There's no doubt about it. You just see how impactful he is as being that second offensive hub, like a guy who can create his own shot, just being a brute force when it comes to attacking the paint. It is much needed outside of Jalen Brunson because this entire team's identity on offense is just being very rugged by how they're able to get to the rim and forcing their opponent's defense to have to collapse 24/7 because you have to either think about Brunson's physicality or Randall's physicality. And when you only have one guy who's able to constantly do that, for 30, 40 plus minutes throughout the game, and you're missing somebody else who can constantly do that too, it makes it that much more difficult for the Knicks. But Jeff, I got to ask you, are you done? Because I feel like a lot of fans right now, especially when I go on Twitter, I see a lot of fans just getting tired with when we're fully healthy. And I mean, you hear Josh Hart's talk about saying, you know what, man, we can't keep waiting for this, right? Like we have to play with what we got. I mean, we're going to hear what Tom Thibodeau had to say, but what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm kind of over that. I'm kind of over the whole wait until they get healthy. Y'all let me know when you're healthy. And when you're healthy, we'll welcome you back with open arms. But for now, they got to deal with what's in front of them right now. I agree with Josh Hart 1,000%. They got to deal with teams hitting their stride in this last month. Your team is at the most vulnerable it's really been all season. What are you going to do? How do you respond? Who's going to step up? This is what they need to worry about right now. Because if they keep waiting, if they have the mentality that, OG and Julius will be back, we'll be good, which is what a lot of us as fans felt because that's kind of how it was communicated. I think that communication is something we could talk about where it felt like they should have been back already. And yeah, OG did come back and re-aggravated the arm, so I can't really go in on that because he did come back. He just re-aggravated his arm again, which is a possibility. But even with Julius Randle, I saw a lot of the fans talking about it, how he went out within the week of Embiid, and it seemed like he would be back before Embiid, and now Embiid is back, right? And I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what the prognosis was for them to both come back, but the way it was communicated, it felt like, even with Woj reports, all these different reports, it felt like by this time, Julius Randle would be back on the court. And that's not happening right now. So as a fan, I think you get used to the team that you have in front of you. You hope for the best, but if every day you're scouring the internet for injury reports to figure out when your team is coming back, you're gonna make yourself go crazy. I can't do that anymore. I got to worry about the team in front of us and worry about how they're gonna win these games because, the ref. I'm tired of talking about refereeing. because there's so many other issues right now that they have to address. And I hate that it's become part of the conversation, but I don't want fans to use it as a crutch. Yes, we see it. We see it. They see it. It is what it is. But we got other stuff we got to address with this team. Like, can y'all stop jumping and passing?
Oh my God.
I'm begging you. I'm pleading you. I don't know what charity we got to donate to. Oh, what prayers, whatever denomination or religion or whatever, beseech you, implore you, please, Josh Hart, stop jumping before you pass. Please, please. I swear, 30% of the time it's been working out over the past few games. And he's baked it into his game to where now he relies on it as opposed to a bailout. Like, that's part of his bag. Get another bag, dog. Josh Hart jump passes has become the Julius Randle spin move.
Wow.
Oh, it's become the Julius Randle spin move. I don't want to see it anymore. 6 turnovers, 2 points. Josh Hart has been playing out of his gourd. This Heat team knows how to nullify him.
Oh, for sure.
I'm looking at Josh Hart and Precious Achiuwa on the same court. Who's shooting the rock? They've tailored their defense to say, we're going to force Josh Hart to make a play to beat us. Not even like anybody but Brunson. They were funneling it to him. And this game, he wasn't the answer. He wasn't shooting when he was open. Another thing, y'all, stop throwing the ball out for 3 when you're right there at the rim and can score.
Oh my God.
And maybe this is old man shouting at get off my lawn in right now. But I understand it's the new I understand it's the new NBA. And sometimes that is effective and it's the most efficient shot that you can get. But there's times where they're legit at the rack. They're looking at the rack and they pass it out to 3 because they're anticipating somebody coming to block instead of getting the easy 2, especially during those runs where you need easy scores. And what do they do to kick it out? A jump pass. Like it's enough, man. They don't have a margin for error and you got to play smart. Those jump passes are not smart, bro. I'm sorry, they're not. And I love it when they work, but I hate to see it because I know eventually it's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to work. I mean, we can add that to like the falling for pump fakes too. Like tonight was just a night where it felt like every pump fake is like, guys, it is just way too obvious between the pump fakes, especially the layups. I'm glad that you said that because there was way too many, especially with Dante who was at the rim. There's just way too many times where you're just driving down the lane. You're like, yo, right there. Right there. How many high school coaches do you think saw that and were just like pulling out their own hair if they still have any left from being like, yo, what? Just go get the foul. Like if you get fouled for getting the layup, at least you get to go to the line. Like we don't have to be so 3-point happy. And the thing is that we're so 3-point happy, but we go through these waves of like being able to shoot the 3 and not shoot the 3. And especially since the injuries, it's just like we can't rely on that. We have to be the Knicks have to be aggressive, man, and get downhill as much as possible and try to draw fouls. And you even hear on the broadcast between Breen and Clyde saying you got to figure out how to slow down the game at this point if you want to stay in it because you got to get to the free throw line, stops the clock, get some points. I mean, it was just good Lord, man. The pump fakes were really getting me because it's like it's always against the Heat too. It's always against the Heat where it's like some of like the most whack pump fakes I've seen in my life. It's like the Kevin Love pump fake is like, come on, guys. Come on. Like, come on now. You know he's not going to pump fake and drive. You know he's going to be sitting at the 3-point line at this point. He is not that Kevin Love anymore where he's going to take you off the dribble. All right? Please stop. Yeah. Please. Yeah, just come on now. This is getting a little ridiculous. It's getting out of hand.
Wild. It's wild. And you know, when we were playing back in our day, we were playing ball. We do what Josh Hart and DiVincenzo was doing, being right there at the rim. You sitting down for the rest of the game. And you're gonna learn about what you did. You're gonna learn how to play offense. But this is just ridiculous, man. This is just ridiculous. And it happens. And those are the points that they passed up where they don't get a score, where those threes don't pay off, where I look at the end of the game and I'm like, wow, got 2 points there, got 2 points there. You put the pressure on this team. Maybe you make something happen. I mean, let's keep it 100. If Scary Terry doesn't become the scariest version of Terry, might be a blowout for the Knicks. This might be a blowout win because no one else really had it like that. Like Bam, Bam was on his Roman Reigns tip. You know what I mean? He's decimating our players left and right. So I'm glad they came out of there unscathed because, boy, every time with this team, every time a punch, a kick, a trip, a drop kick, a suplex, a DDT, a RKO.
Yeah,
it's everything, bro.
RKO.
It's everything. It's everything. And it's always Bam. But I guess that's incidental contact. It's all incidental.
We're going to discuss how he, sets illegal screens by extending his legs further than his shoulders too. Should we go to that point, or are we done with that one?
Downward dog when you're setting a pick, but that's incidental. It's all incidental. We need to fill out an incident report at this point.
I really dislike the Miami Heat the most because it feels like every single time it's like not only are they playing a physical brand of basketball that matches our style, but it's like they do a little bit like extra, right? They always add like the lean, the tripping, something else, man, where you're just like even when it was like Jaquez who was trying to draw the charge on Randall in the last game, I'm like, bro, like you're trying to draw a charge while you're in the semicircle, while the man has already launched himself in the air. What are we doing over here? It just always feels like, to me, it just feels like it's way too coincidental at this point where it's like every single time, like Julius got hurt last season against the Heat too. It's like, it's just too much for me to be like, oh, it's just a one half, it can't happen again, can it? I mean, even Quentin Grimes, when his first year in the league, he got hurt against the Miami Heat, bumping his knee against who I'm like, yo, this is just, I'm done. I'm done. Whenever we play the Heat, it's just like I just have to be. It's like you're holding your breath for 48 minutes. Honestly, you got to hold your breath for 48 minutes. But you don't. You got to hold your breath for, Jeff. Shout out to our sponsor, Manscape. You don't got to hold your breath for this. Everybody out there, you already know what this is. All right, we got the ad read of all ad reads that you want. All right, let's get ready for this. This episode is brought to you by the spring cleaning champions, Manscaped. This season, make sure to groom your carpets and the drapes with the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Clear out that winter bush with Manscaped's Lawnmower 5.0 and watch your confidence bloom like the springtime flowers. Embrace the season and join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our special offer. Go to manscaped.com and use our promo code KFTV to get 20% off and free shipping. Guys, everyone on the team has it as some form of product of Manscaped, whether it's the Lawnmower 5.0, whether it's the Handyman, we got the ball deodorant, we got the shampoo, the conditioners. It's all primo stuff, all right? All primo stuff. Highly recommend that you go out there and support our sponsors, especially if you're trying to, look, it's spring, cuffing season's over. Maybe you want to go meet somebody new, all right? You're done with the old, you're in with the new, right? That's spring cleaning, right? So maybe you need some Manscaped in your life to go get ready for that new swagger that you need in order to go start that dating life back up again. So make sure to support our sponsor, Manscaped. Use that promo code KFTV to get up to 20% off plus free shipping. And remember, no testimonials. None whatsoever. Please. For the love of God.
Zero.
All right. Let's get back to the phones. We got Omar from the Bronx on the line with us. Omar, unmute your mic, my man. What's going on, bro? Omar going once. Omar from the Bronx going twice. Third time. All right, we're going to put you back on hold. We're going to put you back on hold.
BX got that hookah bar Wi-Fi. He need to reconnect, bro. Go on LTE. Go on LTE.
Go on LT indeed. Look, man, I don't know what hookah bar you're at, but gotta check that Wi-Fi out. Maybe they're using that Xfinity and not that Verizon. Whoever knows.
Here we go.
Hey, living out here when it was at one time one service provider, which I'll say who it was. It was Xfinity. I was not thrilled. Yeah. But hey, let's get to this other conversation because Tom Thibodeau decided to talk about the Randall and OG injury update, Jeff. So Daniel, if you can pull that up, clip up, what Tom Thibodeau had to say about OG and Julius Randle's injury status, that'd be great.
I think you just have to deal with reality. I mean, so we've been dealing with this all year, and our reality is we have to go with the guys that are available, and that's what we've done. And if we get them back, then it's a bonus. The thing for him is he's just got to keep working every day till he can get to the point where he feels confident that he could take the contact that he's accustomed to. I think when you look at his game and the way he plays, we don't want him to change his style of play, and I think that's important. And so just keep, doing what you're doing, and you have to have, a belief that it will turn, which I do. Maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's the day after, who knows when it is, but just keep putting everything you have.
So there you have Tom Thibodeau talking about the injury, as he said, and what Josh Hart iterated the other night after the Thunder is that the team's just got to keep moving forward with knowing who they have on the court right now. They can't think of hypotheticals, potentials. They have to deal with what they got. So they're not going to say, what we've been saying, wait until this team's healthy. Wait until this team's healthy and they get into the playoffs. Then we can compete with whoever in the playoffs. They're just rolling out saying, look, it's Brunson and it's Dante, it's McBride, it's Precious, it's Josh Hart, it's all these guys, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, Mitchell Robinson is now back. This is everybody that is going to be battling on a night-to-night basis, and this is how we have to just look at the team moving forward. So I hear him on that. Jeff, before we get to the second point on Julius, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with Tibbs. I agree with Tibbs. What else can you do at this point? But deal with what you can now and hope for the best going forward. I think it's a foregone conclusion. The squad is making the playoffs. If they don't come back, the Knicks ain't going to forfeit. Mm-hmm. They're going to play their game. So now the question is, how do you maximize what you see in front of you and the team that you have to be the most successful? And I think that's what they're working with now. Like, one revelation that they've had is Deuce McBride's emergence as a legit 3-and-D wing. He's almost the guy. He is the guy that a lot of fans thought Quentin Grimes was going to be. He's showing that this season. And I bet if you give some of the Knicks front office some truth serum, they would probably say the same thing. Given what they signed Deuce McBride for with the extension and given all the factors, they came away with a steal. Like, you look at Deuce in his last 10 games, 16 points, 50% from the field, 45% from three, almost two stocks a game, plus 7.2. This dude, if anything else, you could take solace as a fan. You could take solace in the fact that we got another one. If you're a fan, you're saying we got another one in Miles McBride, Deuce McBride, someone who can be an effective player in the playoff rotation with this team and with the healthy team. Think about where we were a couple of months ago. Yo, we got to get a point guard, got to get a backup point guard. We need somebody. We need that scoring off the bench. And here's Deuce. Got his opportunity and knocked it out of the park. Now you've developed a whole other weapon that you didn't have before. That's the best case scenario. OG comes back, Randall comes back, and you have Deuce. And if they can play even to 75% of their potential, I still think the Knicks are in a better position than they are right now. And they were even when they were going 14-2. Because at this point, OG's coming back. And it's a testament to him that even with one arm, he can control the game and still be the plus minus guy. That's like a bar, bro. Like, literally, one arm tied behind his back, he could play the same 90% of the defense and still be effective enough on offense to spread the floor, hit a layup, dunk the ball, but you can't extend your arm. His whole physiology right now is like wild to me. Just like how it all maintains. So even if he comes back and he's 50-50, he's still going to be 100% on the defensive end to me. But I would love to see this team get back, at least get the whole team back so that they can see a preview of what it'll be next year and get as far as they can get. Because you know it, Alex. You cover NBA like I cover the NBA. These windows of opportunity, I still think the Knicks have a big window, playoff window. But sometimes within those windows, you look through the window and you see certain opportunities that you ain't gonna see tomorrow or the next day. Like the way the East is shaping up right now, whatever's going on out West is gonna be a war of attrition. We don't know what's gonna happen next year. So you want to take advantage of the opportunities you get in front of you today. And I just hope that they can get the entire squad back together to take a crack at it. Just take one shot and we let the chips fall where they may.
For sure. And look, like the thing is, and we could talk about OG first, is like him coming back. I mean, we saw what he could be. He's a plug and play guy. He doesn't necessarily need to be, get that ramp up period. It's like Julius, who's a rhythm player, right? He's a plug and play guy. You can bring him back in. Same thing with Mitchell Robinson. He's a guy that, you want to see him just to get out. Mitch, the only reason you want Mitch back out there is to get his conditioning up because he's been out since December 8th and he needs to be out there. And the way that he plays defense, it's just repetitions at this point. So that way he can get the cardio back up, basketball cardio, not running wise, just like, the lateral movement, the jumping, the rebounding, the physicality that goes with the game. It's just much more than just jogging up and down the court. So that's why I want him back on the court. And it's good seeing that, aggravating his ankle against the San Antonio Spurs didn't keep him out that long. It's nice to see him back. Julius, that's a different story. So I need to see him before we get into the postseason. So let's break down what Tibbs said, right? It's like he's talking about he essentially what Tibbs is saying, Julius has to be comfortable playing that same physicality that he was prior to the injury because he can't. That's the best way that this Knicks team flows. And we saw that. Mm-hmm. That winning streak, that month of January when we got OG is just we didn't even see the peak, honestly. That was just great. And those guys didn't even play. Like I said, there was no training camp for those guys. There was nothing. And it just all the puzzle pieces just fit seamlessly. And the team looked so good. But for a guy like Randall, he needs to get back on the court to get into rhythm. I've been saying that. CP had Scott Perry on the show. He's saying that. I'm sure you believe the same thing, that you want Randall back out there just to get into rhythm. Like, you need Randall back out there. But to see that Tibbs is saying that he has to be comfortable playing his style of basketball, which makes sense. It's the best version we've seen of Randall, a guy that just gets downhill, plays bully ball. You can't stop him. Like, that's what this team needs. And especially when he's doing that, it opens up everything else for Brunson to be that sniper from downtown as well as Dante and everybody else, even OG Anunoby. But that's the way that he needs to play. And so for Tibbs, that makes it a little bit, up in the air is that when he talks about when is that turning point going to be, it doesn't seem like there's any set date for this turning point. It's like Julius just has to wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm good to go. I feel great. I feel just like myself. Because when Tom Thibodeau says, you have to have a belief that it will turn, which I do. Maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it's the day after. Who knows when it is? Work out, do your rehab, try to strengthen your shoulder as much as you can and go from there. That to me is like, now we're just hoping. And it's like, we're just being optimistic instead of like giving a concrete date of saying what the prognosis is of Julius Randle.
You think it's Randall that's holding himself back?
I don't think it's Randall holding him. I don't know if it's Randall. I think there's a constant fluid conversation, right, between doctors and the team. It's like, Randall, what do you think you can do? And I'm sure if he expresses any discomfort or if he doesn't feel confident, because I feel like for a lot of athletes, right, you have to have that level of confidence that you're going to go back out there and you're not worried about the injury. And that's the big thing coming back from an injury, is that mental of saying, I am confident that I know I can do the same moves I was doing before, play at 110%, and I won't get injured again. Because as we saw last season in the playoffs against the Cavs, Julius, in that first game, when he came back, it was up and down, right? He had a good first quarter, but then it waned. It was just gone. And then he didn't really get back into that groove where it's like, oh, is this the Randall we saw through the regular season in game 5? But then he hurts his ankle again, right? And now the only thing I can say is that for an ankle injury, for a lower body injury, like, the fact that he was that confident to go back out there and do it again, that just tells me that Julius is just a warrior and that he'll fight through whatever pain, right? For the shoulder, obviously a little different. Thankfully, it's not his shooting shoulder, right? But it's still a shoulder that he uses to create separation. So if he's comfortable using it to create separation, if he's not worried about driving and, going for the layup and potentially hurting himself again like he did when playing the Miami Heat,
Right.
then that's a good sign. But I think that's just a conversation between him and the doctor. Like, how do you feel today? What are we going to work on? And just testing that thing out. And you don't want to just say, hey, Randall, let's just go full blown contact and see what happens the next day. I don't know, man. To me, it's not the most confident thing I'm reading, but
Right.
it doesn't give me any reassurance that he's going to get some playing time before the playoffs, which I think he needs.
I'm with Kaiden, man. I'm with his son. I see this guy in the gym every day. Why he ain't playing? His son was like, yo, dad goes to the gym every day and is putting up these shots. Why is he not in the game? I'm with you. At this point, we're like, yo, Julius, you want to lie? Like, get back, we need you. You gotta start telling lies. Or maybe they gotta fit him with some like exoskeleton or something to like protect it. I know they got some next level Kevlar or something. They got to. Like, I feel like every year there's some advancement to protect these guys and help them go out and play. At this point, this is where we at right now, man. I'm thinking about armor to get him back on the court. Because I know he's going to play through it regardless and he ain't going to make no excuses. But yeah, man, that's why I'm back to square one with it. This is the team you got in front of you. Hope you see those guys down the road, but you got to take care of business now. Because if they lose out, which I don't think is going to happen, but if they lose out, they haven't locked a top 6 seed. They haven't clinched it. They haven't clinched a top 6 seed. There's still business to handle. You're playing Milwaukee, who's trying to lock a top 3. You're playing the Bulls, who are trying to lock a play-in spot. There's a lot of teams, the Kings, that are coming into town, and everybody got business to handle. Everybody got money on the line at this point at the end of the season. And your money's looking funny right now because you're 3 in a row. You lost 3 in a row. And the league smells blood. I was the person, Alex, that was saying we gave the league 45 days. 45 days of no Julius and no OG, and the Knicks still were in 4th place. Y'all left up, and now OG's back. I was talking so much. Oh, my God. OG's like the older brother when he comes to school. Oh, you ain't jumping nobody today. OG.
Well, who's Julius then in this when he comes back?
He's the friends. He's the friends of the older brother, the upperclassmen that come through. And you talking so much, and now they not here. And I'm still trying to talk, but I know at this point the numbers are against me. But yeah, man, I thought the Knicks were rounding the corner. And honestly, if OG was still healthy, we wouldn't even be talking about this because none of this would have probably happened. In fact, they might have had a lock on the 2 and 3 seed right now if OG was here. But you know what they say about ifs and fifths. So, you know what I mean? Like, at this point, they got to focus on the team that they have in front of them.
Yeah, for sure. We got to focus on what we got in front. And that's it, man. I just really hope we get to see them before playoffs start. Yeah. Just give just a little bit of time to gel. That's all I need. Just a little bit of time for them to gel. Just because we don't need to see. I don't know, man. I just feel like it's just asking a lot to say, hey, guess what? First trial run, first game of the playoffs. No big deal. None whatsoever.
Man. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another KFTV post-game live. I'm Alex Trataros, a.k.a. the Tratacaster. With me on the side is my guy, Jeff Johnson. And salute to the franchise channel members and to all of Knicks Nation for tuning in right now. I'm going to shout out some of the franchise channel members for rocking with us today. We got Cowboys. We got Hard Tackle Cornerback. We got JJ in here as always. We got JRose712. Who else we got in here? We got Rare Edition as well. Salute to the rhyme animal, Chuck D himself. He's always with us in here. Shout out to Scott Novak. Shout out to Enriquez. Shout out for you. We got Junior Karoma in the building as well. Who else we got? We got Strive. Salute to all you guys. Salute. Shout out to Young Kobe too. We got Tricky Nicky in here. We got Brooklyn Vega. Salute to all of you for rocking with us right now at 11:30 at night. We got 800 of you in the chat. Salute to all of you for rocking with us for KFTV Post Game Live.
Yes, sir.
We got some of the regulars in here. We got KG74. We got Knicks Primes. I know John Talento's out there tuning in as well. Reek Flair, salute to you as well. Ari from Taiwan. We got the regulars in here. All right, we're going to keep this show rolling. Let's see if we can get Omar from the Bronx again. Omar from the Bronx, are you there with us? Omar, going once. Unmute your mic. Omar from the Bronx? Man. I feel like this is just a bit at this point. I feel like this is just a bit at this point. Every time I host a show, everyone's just like, you know what? We're going to take our time. We're not going to answer the phone. We're going to have Alex just we're going to go reckless out here, not getting any calls here. Come on, guys. Come on.
Oh, man.
Come on, guys. So, support, man. You guys got to support. You got to answer the phones. You got to answer the Discord. You got to set the phone lines over here and get some people calling through the phone lines. That's what I got to do next, man. That's the next step. I know CP said we're going to get everybody through the Discord, which you all should do. It's crispy, 24/7 chat. You got all you got all these different channels within the KFTV Slack Discord where you have everyone talk about different things. You can talk about sports betting. You can talk about hockey, soccer, baseball, football. Talk about NBA. You know, you can talk about anything in the Discord. TM has just done a phenomenal job creating just an outlet for Knicks Nation to go to, and have 24/7 dialogue about anything, even video games, man. You can go into the Discord and talk about anything if you're a Knicks fan, man. You all can come together about being a Knicks fan and then maybe become friends discussing some other topic that you guys enjoy as well. But all right.
Omar, they're saying that you putting up a Burke stat line on the Discord in the chat, bro. They saying that you looking like Burks in the chat, bro. Like you got to call back.
Oh, wait. Do we have Omar right now? Omar, I'm going to give you another chance. Omar from the Bronx, are you there?
Oh, wow.
Yo, could you hear me?
There we go. Omar from the Bronx. He heard that he was going to put up a Burke stat line. He said he's not tonight. I'm coming through. What up, Omar?
I don't know if you guys locked the Discord or something. I couldn't unmute. I'm usually on point, but I was able to unmute. But it's all good nonetheless. So listen, I got a question because the way the East is shaping up, I think this is a legitimate thing to ponder. Would you rather be the 3 seed, avoid Boston's second round, but you have to end up playing most likely Philly with Embiid or Miami? Or would you rather be the 4 or 5 seed? You may have to play Boston second round, but first round you get like an Orlando-Indiana matchup. Because to me, I'm not sure which one I picked there. It's kind of like, there's good and bad in both ways. So we're going to fall anywhere from 3 to 6. I don't think we're ending up in the play-in unless we lose like 5 straight or something, which I don't think is going to happen. A lot of the teams that are catching up on us, they're playing each other anyway, so it'll kind of cancel out. But again, if we're the 3 seed, okay, it's great. We avoid Boston, but we're probably going to end up seeing Miami and Philly with Embiid, which I'm not sure if I like that matchup first round. But if we go to 4 or 5, yes, we may have to see Boston. We will have to see Boston second round. But that first round matchup would be either Orlando, Indiana, maybe even Cleveland, which I'm more confident with. So I just wonder what you guys' thoughts were on that.
Appreciate you, Omar. Appreciate you for calling in. And you know what? I'm going with the latter. I don't feel like seeing, especially after tonight, man. I don't know how this team's going to look. I know we keep saying that, we're going to have like our guys back or potential and all this stuff, but I'd rather go with, if I'm looking with what we have right now, I'd rather take the chance of saying, we're going to go against Orlando. I'm not even like, I feel better about Indy, Orlando, and the Cavs with this roster than going against the Heat and the Sixers, just because if we're going against the Sixers and you get Embiid back, we're going to need somebody like Randall in order to compete. I'm not saying he's going to be the exact same thing as Joel Embiid. Not saying that at all. But you need a lot of firepower to compete with a Maxey and Embiid instead of just only having Brunson and then having to rely on everybody else, without OG, without Randall. That's not a matchup I'm looking for. And then with Miami, I'm not afraid of Miami, but they just know how to muddy things up, man. They're a team that's like the Knicks that just know how to muddy things up. And it's just, you just even see tonight, like the Knicks were just uncharacteristic in just some of these turnovers and the execution of plays. Like it was Like Miami doesn't do that when they face us. They rarely do that. I know we beat them twice this year being a fully healthy roster, but that's the thing. I don't know if we're going to be fully healthy. If it's a fully healthy roster, I feel confident. We're not having this discussion. But if you're talking about this is the roster that we have moving forward and we got to face the Miami Heat, I don't know, man. Like Knicks had 14 turnovers. Not thrilled about that. We're seeing all the jump passes, the falling for pump fakes, the not going for layups and wanting to pass out for a three. You can't be doing that stuff against Miami. So I'm not too confident about that. So give me the Cavs, give me the Pacers, give me the Magic. I'll take those guys. Not saying it's going to be an easy one, but they all have flaws that I think the Knicks can overcome even with their current flaws right now as the roster is currently constructed without OG and without Randall. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to see the Heat in the first round because in the event everybody comes back, one of them players is not making it to the next round. I already feel it in my bones. Someone's going to accidentally hit Randall in his shoulder, or OG's going to get tied up with Duncan Robinson and his elbow's going to get caught up, or a Bam incidental contact pick is going to lead to a sprained ankle. I already feel that in my bones. The Heat are too physical and too coincidental when they play the Knicks for me to want to watch them play this team in the first round, even if everybody was healthy, because I know they would not get out of that series without bumps and bruises that they don't really need to go through because they're already a physical team. So you ask me my ideal scenario after seeing this team right now and just going off the fact that, they may not be at 100%. They may not even get everybody back at this point. Let's drop to 6 and give me the Cavs again, because I do not fear them boys one iota. The Knicks got their heart, their minds, and their souls in their back pocket. They lost Jalen Brunson. They lost Jalen Brunson and said Jalen Brunson's injury that knocked him out the game rattled them more than it rattled the Knicks. That's worse than the lights are too bright. That means your heart pumped Kool-Aid. Your heart pumped Kool-Aid. That's what we're talking about right now. How do you come out and say, yo, man, when Jalen Brunson came out, we wasn't really prepared for that. You weren't prepared to play a team without their best player 30 seconds into the game, where the way it looked like he was done for the year.
Oh my God.
And the Knicks showed more mental fortitude than the Cavs in Cleveland after they lost their guy to smoke the Cavs off the court. And all they could say was, well, that Brunson, he's a disruptor when he's not in the game. Like, they're weak. They're weak. They're beyond weak. And Spider ain't 100%. Yeah. Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro. Yeah, you think I fear that? Nah. Let Mitch go crazy one more time and get his cardio back. Give Julius a round off. Get to the second round and let the chips fall where they may. Whether it's Philly, whether it's Milwaukee, whoever. Let's see what happens there again, because I at least have a idea that could be the most favorable outcome.
For sure. Man. You really said they snatched. Man, it's like they stole the soul from the Cavs, man. It's like they're like the Grim Reaper for them, man. I've never seen a team so afraid of another team in my life. Like, usually you think like you come up with like a backbone to saying, like, we're not afraid of nobody, but Cavs just terrified of the Knicks, man.
Yeah, and I see people in the chat saying like, don't underestimate the Cavs. I'm completely under the estimation line. They gotta show me that they're worth a reasonable estimation, for me to fear them. And if I'm not mistaken, maybe was OG in the game that they played Cleveland? No, right? He wasn't there in that Brunson game where he got left.
No.
One arm OG, Jalen Brunson and friends, gentleman sweep against the Cavs. These Cavs.
I got TM reminding me. Yeah, TM saying, Alex, remember that guy who was salty? One of the Cavs beat reporters. Oh my god! I mean, everybody's.
Oh yeah.
Look, the entire Cleveland fan base, the beat reporters, everybody's upset that they think that. I mean, last year it was such a bravado of saying, "Oh, we got the team, we got Donovan Mitchell." Now it's like, we don't know if he's going to stay. We don't know what team we got. We don't know how he's going to move. We don't even know if JB Bickerstaff's going to be the next coach. Going to be the coach the following season. I mean, hey, they got a lot of problems. First problem they had
are
was
one, and the Knicks are one. They have 99 problems, and the Knicks are one for them.
That is a fact. Their second problem is releasing Kevin Love when they needed shooting in depth last year, which made absolutely no sense. But hey, let that be their decision, man. I just still laugh to this day. But hey, let's look at this game by the numbers, Jeff. Let's look at this game by the numbers. Brought to you guys by our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. So let's go through this. So Daniel, if you could just bring up, we got the Warden Mitchell Robinson up there, but let's go to the key stats. There we go. All right, let's get to the key stats. Discuss this game tonight. And Jeff, when I'm looking at this game, which I don't really want to look at, but hey, we got to do it anyway. We see that the Knicks lost to the Miami Heat 109-99, but they lost the rebounding battle 39-30. I mean, at one point, I think going into the half or even starting the second half, between Mitchell Robinson and Isaiah Hartenstein, they both had 2 rebounds, which is just uncharacteristic for a Knicks team that is just so good at controlling the glass. You see that the Knicks won the assist battle, but it just felt still choppy where the Knicks weren't even getting a lot of clean looks and just moving. Like they were trying their best to move the rock, but it just felt like it could have been a lot better when it came to ball movement. Knicks had 11 steals in this game, but it was not enough for them to like take advantage and actually get a lead on. They had 14 turnovers, less than the Miami Heat, who had 17 turnovers, but they still couldn't capitalize on, with less turnovers than the Miami Heat. And then when it came to shooting, I mean, the field goal percentage, very close. We're talking about 49% to 46%. But what really changed was the 45% to 35%, where the Miami Heat just outscored the Knicks shot better, I should say, not outscored, but shot better than the Knicks from 3, thanks to one Terry Rozier, who decided to go 8 for 12 from downtown tonight. And then Heat were just able to convert on more free throws than the Knicks were. And when you look at second chance points, the Knicks lost that battle 11-7. When it came to fast break opportunities, the Knicks actually beat the Heat in that category 14-9. But once again, they could not take advantage of that. And then when it came to points in the paint, it was almost even, 38-34, 38 being the New York Knicks. But when I look at this game, it just came from downtown, man. Terry Rozier shooting that 3 ball so well, and that's where you see that percentage, that difference. And losing control of the glass. That's why the Knicks weren't able to get one tonight.
Yeah, shout out to my guy Sean with a W. He sent out a tweet and he said, sometimes the correct answer is the simplest one. It's like a comms razor. And he sent out a picture of the box score circling Terry Rozier's whole stat line. That's really what the difference was. They hit 5 more threes than the Knicks. They scored 7 more points off of turnovers. And they had 3 more turnovers than the Knicks. And they were able to score 7 more points off of turnovers, plus 15 on 3-pointers. The fact that the Knicks were still in this to where it was only a 10-point defeat is a testament to their heart, to their character, the way they play the game, the defense that they play, their new starting 5 that has been highly effective. But when Brunson goes to the bench, the team turns into a pumpkin. So these are the things that they have to figure out, right? But I think this was simple. When Scary Terry hit that fading to his left 3 from the left wing in the second half with the shot clock down to like 1, and he faded and hit a 3, I was like, oh, we have a problem. I thought I was watching Caitlin Clark, bro. I thought I was watching Caitlin Clark and Haley Van Lith asking for help, letting go and letting God. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm sick, and you got me running around chasing the Player of the Year. Like, it's all up. Like Terry Rozier, I think that he needed that game from him, and he had it at the worst possible time, which was against the Knicks. So if we're looking at, we can break down the stats a whole bunch. I also think the fact that the Knicks to win, everybody has to have a them game. Brunson has to have a Brunson game. Hart has to have a Hart game.
Yes.
Deuce has been playing Deuce McBride basketball for 10 plus games, right? Either Hartenstein or Mitch have to be them. Like, and Dante DiVincenzo has to step up. And I think we got almost all of that except for Hart and Brunson, which once again, they've been playing out their gourds, so I can't really fault them. But just for this game, you see the Heat. Jimmy had a pretty pedestrian game. Bam had an eye game. Terry Rozier played the game of his life. It felt like they were able to overcome regular games from their top players to win. The Knicks don't got that right now. And I think you got Terry Rozier hitting, what he hit? 8 of 11, 9 of 11 from 3.
8 of 12.
8 of 11. Yeah.
Oh, it was 8 of
11. I think that's what
8 of
the official.
Yeah. 8 of 11. 8 of 11.
8 of 11. Bro, you got to tip your hat. Deuce McBride was all over him. And he was just hitting shots. This is the NBA. This happens. So,
yeah, it happens. There's just some nights where somebody catches fire. Totally agree. And that is our section by the numbers. Key stats of the night, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. And so let's talk about Underdog Fantasy and why you guys should support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Because look, it's fun, easy to use. I like using it, especially when I want to make the game a little bit more interesting. I like putting a little money down just because, you know what, watching these games, I feel like, hey, I know enough. I think I could win something because I watch a lot of basketball. All right. My wife tells me I watch too much, but hey, if that's the case, let me see if I can put my money where my mouth is. So I like using Underdog Fantasy. It makes it that much more fun, that much more interesting. You can either do drafts, which CP, JD, CK, the Knicks chick, and myself have been doing. We've been competing. We didn't get to do it tonight, but hey, your boy is 4 out of 6. What was it? 4 out of 6 out of the I got 4 wins out of the last 6 games, so you know I'm on one right now. I guess they just wanted to take a breather, so they didn't have to give me some more lunch money for the next day. It's okay, guys. I'll be taking your lunch money the next day. Either way, I still went the pick'ems route, which look, you can choose any combination of players between any sport. You got baseball back in action, so you can choose MLB, NBA. You could do a mix and match of the players from there. If football or hockey's still in season, you could do a combination of hockey, baseball, NBA. For me, I just like to go with all the NBA. And what you do is you choose your players and you choose whether or not they're going to go higher or lower based on the statistical category. It could be points, rebounds, assists, a combination of all that, points, rebounds, assists, or points and assists, whatever it may be. And all you got to do is just choose higher and lower and think if the player's going to do better in that category than whatever the projection is. So for tonight, here's where I win. Number 1, I chose Dante DiVincenzo for higher than 4 3-pointers made. He did that tonight. He made 6, so I hit on that. My second projection was that Bam Adebayo was going to have higher than 3 first quarter rebounds. He got 3, so I went neutral on that. My next pick was Jalen Brunson, higher than 6.5 first quarter points. He just needed one more bucket, but because of that stifling Heat defense, he couldn't get it. And then I chose Jimmy Butler for higher than 4 first quarter points. He got 7. And because of that, I still won something. I got $6.50 tonight based on that entry. It was a $5 entry that I did. So I went the insured route. I didn't go all in thinking I was going to get all 4 picks right. All right, that's the beauty about using Underdog Fantasy as well, is that you can choose thinking that you're going to get hit on all your picks, or if you're like, you know what, I'm not feeling too great about my selections, but I think I can win something, you can go the insured route and still get some money back in return, which is what I did. So that's why I like using Underdog Fantasy. I still come out a winner tonight, and you guys could become one too. So make sure to download the app or go to the website, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV to get an instant $100 100% instant deposit match up to $100. So make sure to support our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code KFTV. All right, let's get back to the lines, Jeff. We got some more people on the line. Ooh, let's go with Tegs. We got Tegs 28 on the line. Tegs, are you there right now? Tegs, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing tonight? How you feeling?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Big fan of the show. I need more. I need more from Hartenstein. I need more from Josh Hart. Josh Hart, he puts his heart into the game. He was in there for 45 minutes, I think, but if I'm not mistaken, I think he had less than 2 points. I mean, the rebounds were there, but we've seen him drop 15 rebounds at any other given night. So I need a little bit more from those two guys. Did I mention Precious too? I need a little bit more from him too.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, I mean, tonight was just not a typical night for Josh Hart. I mean, Miami Heat just seemed like a matchup for him where he just starts to become a shell of himself. I mean, we saw this last year in the playoffs. We saw it this year too. It's like, that's why, like, I even saw lines for Josh Hart on Underdog, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not choosing Josh Hart tonight because every time he plays the Heat, it just doesn't seem his type of night. But then, look, Precious barely gave you anything. Hartenstein, that's probably the biggest question mark because he only got 18 minutes tonight, and he was even in the closing lineup. And I thought maybe go big to protect the rim. You don't use Mitchell Robinson because he's still recovering from injury, but going with Precious over Hartenstein in that matchup, I was a little confused on that one.
And I'm not gonna lie, I missed a lot of the game just because I was driving, but I watched the highlights. Bojan was balling.
Yeah, he was. Bojan was definitely hooping. He was definitely hooping tonight.
What's up with Burke? Is 3 minutes?
What's going on with Burks? Appreciate the call, Tex. Appreciate you calling in, man. What's going on with Burks? He wants to know what's going on with Burks. We ain't talking about Burks, all right? We are not talking about Burks tonight. That's where I got to cut it short. We asking about Burks. We got to cut that call short. Oh my goodness.
Have you checked the back of any cars lately?
Yeah. I wish I had that sound bite of putting him in the trunk, which, by the way, if you all are not aware, we have a March Madness.
Put him in the trunk.
Put him in the what?
March Madness.
Put him in the trunk.
Why am I merch off? All right. We have a Merch Madness, as CP is calling it. So we got a battle of what's this year's slogan going to be? All right. And right now it is a battle between put him in the trunk and let me get the other one correct. Let me make sure I'm getting the right phrase of what's going on here. So it's between put him in the trunk and New York versus the world. So right now, I'm pretty sure put him in the trunk. Put him in the trunk is winning on all platforms right now. Instagram, Twitter,
that's
YouTube community. Put him in the trunk is winning. So put him in the trunk would be quite the playoff mantra.
Yo, y'all had my man CP looking like Vibes Cartel, bro. with the dreads and all that. That's crazy. But I tell you right now, if I was thinking about this race, I would say I've seen enough. Put him in the trunk as the primary. We got this breaking news update. Put him in the trunk has clinched the nomination. I'm calling it now. If New York versus the world beats put him in the trunk, it's gonna be like Dewey defeats Truman. Somebody gotta hold up a newspaper. There's no way put him in the trunk. Put him in the trunk is sweeping in four minus 1,500 on put him in the trunk.
Oh my God, minus 1,500. He said,
and that's conservative. That's conservative. Wow. Minus 1,500. Put him in the trunk. There's no way that's losing. Y'all gotta come up with a third party option, bro.
Split that vote up. Look, if put him in the trunk loses, we already know that it was rigged. We're blaming CP for this. We already discussed in the chat that he would be like Nixon saying, like, coming out here and be like, I am not a crook. Just like in the whole mantra of like, where is put him in the trunk? But can we just talk about this for a second? Put him in the trunk as a playoff slogan would be a hell of a slogan, though, if you just start rolling up and be like, put him in the trunk. It's a little dark. Like,
it's very much dark.
Put every opponent in the trunk.
That's like a few years ago in the NCAA. I think it was Xavier that was like, we zipping them up. We in the buyback. We zipping them up. Like, I'll put them in the trunk. It's crazy, but it's very New York. It's super New York. Like, put him in the trunk. Put him in the trunk is nuts, actually. Like, homegirl was unhinged, but it is what it is. It's the KnicksFanTV community. It's what we do. You know, if put him in the trunk don't win, they might storm the KFTV Capitol. They might storm and try to overturn the election results, bro.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. Speaking about put him in the trunk, hold on. We got a super chat here, Jeff. We got a super chat here for us. Holy cow. Shout out to my guy, John Shin, for dropping a $100 super chat. He said, tomatoes, LOL. Let's go, Knicks. Standings don't matter. Let's get healthy and see what we can do. Bring on the Cavs, Magic, whoever in the first round. Put them all in the trunk. There you go. See, there's the playoff slogan right there. Put them all in the trunk. It's just rolling off the tongue at this point.
It's better than Bing Bong. I'll tell you that much.
Good Lord.
It's better. I'm so glad that went out like that went out. What was a fad that was like nasty that y'all was out there wearing that I was like, yo, we gotta get that away. Whatever the nastiest fad you could think of, it was that. Bing Bong for like half a season. You know what I mean? Like, ugh. It just got played out too quickly. It got played out so quickly.
Jenko jeans?
It was the Jenko jeans of Knicks rallying calls. It just is what it is.
Yeah, man. No one needed that. No one needed that. I'm actually upset that you brought that up, Jeff. I'm not gonna lie. I had erased that from my memory bank. You know how like you never think of something, and then like the only reason I would ever think of it is because opposing team social media content is like Bing Bong, and you're like, okay, you can stay over there. That is so passe. No one's even doing that anymore,
bro.
It was literally like it was a New York minute. That thing.
The Sixers social account Bing Bonged after the first game where they took the L. I bookmarked it. I let them know I bookmarked it. That second game where they blew the Sixers off the court. I swear they tweeted a clip of something that happened like right before the run. They didn't tweet again for like 40 minutes. And I was like, yo, the social media manager must be on lunch because they already know not to check the mentions because Knicks fans were parked. Knicks fans were parked with tents and tailgating in those mentions afterwards. And then they had to drop the I love when the NBA accounts drop the final graphic when they lose. Final.
Yeah, no score, no nothing, final. You remember when the Knicks, that was like back in 2019 when we first, remember the year of all four power forwards. There was one game where it was, we'll get him next time, something like that. Like the social media team was like, we'll get him next time after every loss. And it was just like final. Like, it's just like, here's the final score. We're not even going to try.
Fought to the end.
Yeah.
Fought to the end.
Fought to the end. Good Lord.
Finals when you know you fed up. Like, yo, I ain't even trying to get in trouble. Let me just put this graphic out so we can go home.
Yeah, literally. Let's just go home, man. Shout out to Two Lefty. He thinks about all these. Wait a minute. Hold on one second. Go back to that graphic. Did I just see that right? Did I just see that right? Did I just see me as Eminem as I? Y'all thinking me looking in the mirror? Thinking Eminem.
Oh,
8 Mile. No. Good Lord. Wow.
Damn.
Shout out to Ric Flair for giving our producer Daniel. Shout out to producer Daniel for that edit right there. That's a quick edit. And shout out to Ric Flair. Shout out to you for being a franchise channel member for inspiring Daniel to be making that graphic. So shout out to you. Wow. I'm man, knees weeks.
They calling you 8 Mile out there, man. That's crazy.
8 Mile. 8 Mile. Good Lord. Oh, I'm so heavy. Knees weak. Oh, spaghetti. Good Lord. But let's get ready to close the show, Jeff. Let's get ready to close the show. We got a special guest to close this show. We got none other than the rhyme animal himself, Chuck D, with us to close out the show. Mr. Chuck D, how you doing, my man? How are you feeling today?
What's up, Jeff? What's up, Alex? Y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Runaway winner landslide. Mama Griselda's put them in the trunk. It was, hey, listen, man, it's what you call KFTV grown. It was grown right here in real time. It was like right here. We found the winner in real time when she said it that night. Now, we might not want it to happen for Burks and Bogey, that me and KG affectionately call Bricks and Bogus. But today, Bogey looked like he, he didn't look so much like a runaway van tonight, and it started to fit. But I gotta politely disagree with Jeff. I don't think we could handpick our enemy. Mm-hmm. I think fear everybody, but be afraid of nobody, and that might cross itself. But we're at a point right now where the reality is that, yeah, I mean, our 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and sometimes 12th players have done a hell of a job and they've overachieved. And the reality sets in with all these, teams tightening up now. And, Miami, I think they were licking their chops the whole time, knowing that we was knee down and bloody for the last 2 games. And they coming into a full staff lineup. So they understand what like Clyde was talking about today on the broadcast. It's the demoralizing effect that starts to enter in the fourth quarter and it lingers. And if we're not even talking about our number 1, 2, 3, 4 players other than Brunson. We're talking about our supporting cast. So demoralization could really seriously set in. And all right, somebody like a Bam, iHeart had minutes restrictions still. Mitch is coming back slow, and Precious has great footwork to keep Bam at least honest. And like you said, Jeff, Scary Terry, was unconscious. He had some shots. I was like basically saying that what Clyde was talking about tonight. It's like, the dude is inconsistent, but you know what? When he's on, he's on. And tonight he was on. And I do think with Tibbs, we run into a situation where if he doesn't have the players that he needs, we run into getting gas or having injuries, at least in the end of the season. And we got both now. So, the best that we could do is enjoy the ride going into the playoffs. I think we need to do our best to avoid the play in. We got to understand everything changes when it comes down to teams tightening up. We already heard that, Jimmy Butler says that the regular season is a side chick, as Josh Hart said. You know what I'm saying? So everything changes, man. Everything's going to change so much in the next 2 weeks. And I know we got to give it all. And look, if I was anybody, especially what's up, Knicks Nation, I would never, ever give up on this team. This team fights down to the last tooth and nail. And yeah, sometimes we get into a situation we watch Josh Hart do jump passes, or a lot of the players do jump passes. But I think that's because they're out of their role so much. When we even have our full lineup, it's almost like our number 1 and 2 players are ball dominant and so ISO is that it's a form of habit, like get the rebound and kick out to your ball dominant ISO players to get ready to pass it around. So I think, like asking for Josh Hart to break out of that and I don't know. I don't know if it's going to come this season, but and I think Dante is a little gassed right now. But I ask you guys the question, Alex and Jeff. Like, I think also this team needs an enforcer, and our biggest enforcing looking dude, sometimes gets too cute for the. I mean, he's 6'9", 250. Sometimes Julius has to go out there and say, "I'm 6'9", 250," and I know he was putting that in the ball. And into the game. But who's the other 6'9", 250 that says, you're not messing up my guys? Brunson's not hitting the floor. I would say somebody like a PJ Tucker, but, a thing about PJ Tucker, he's been with so many teams. I think he's everybody's friend. He's got to be everybody's friend by now. So who is this guy that just says, you know what? You are not going to be messing up my guys no matter what. And that's what Pat Riley is always going to find. You will not beat us into the ground and have the final story. So, as we go forward, enjoy the ride, y'all. I'm enjoying the season so much, and especially that we've overachieved in areas that we were really seriously looking for answers, and here we are. So this is going to be a very interesting April. Big up to KG out there. KG, my man, we were going back and forth. I predicted a 50 and 32. He said 52 and 30. Tonight we agreed over the mosh pit. We said neither of this is happening. So we're going to enjoy the ride and look to game 1 and hopefully stay out of this other playing. Because whoever we face, I'm trying to tell you, they're going to get their faces scratched off. Knicks Nation, salute. Stay up. Don't quit on this team.
Salute to Chuck D, the rhyme animal himself, man. Man
Yes,
came
sir.
through and gave the gospel saying, look, enjoy the ride, enjoy the season. This team is not backing down from anything. They are who they are. Tough, gritty, strong, right? And just let's keep rolling, man. And not to be afraid of anybody in the playoffs, but yet to be afraid at the same time. And look, man, this team, even though it's gone through like a downturn, like at this point going on this 3-game skid, especially the close games that we had to lose, it's like, I don't know, man. I just wanted to get that extra like bit of confidence where you just, the Spurs game is just that one. I just throw that out because Wemby went off. The foul discrepancy was just disgusting. But when I look at the Thunder game, it's like we could have had that game. We could have had that game. That was the one. We could have had this game tonight. We had it tied, man. But you talk about a precious foul on Terry Rozier, and then that just that opened the floodgates for him just to close the game. And so I'm just like, it's just especially these last 2 games, all 3 of them hurt. Don't get me wrong. I'm aggravated by all of them, but it's like just to get that little bit of more confidence, like, okay, we can make it through anything with the roster that we have right now. If we get Julius back, Mitch gets back into shape, OG is fine, this team can be unbeatable. But it's just been tough, man. But I totally hear what Chuck D is saying. I agree with what Chuck D is saying. Salute to Chuck D. Salute to the right man himself. Throw a hashtag PE in the chat if you haven't done so already. Man, what a way to close the show, man. What a way to close the show.
Yeah, man. I love the bars dropped. I definitely feel that mentality. Like I felt Chuck what he said, fear everybody, but don't be afraid of nobody, right? Like I get that. Like that's a humility where you go into you respect your opponent, but at the same time, you trying to bash everybody head in. You ain't gonna be better than me. I'm gonna show you the respect where I'm not going to overlook you. I'm not gonna underestimate you. And I think the Knicks should have that mentality. Me though, I've seen what my eyes have seen. I've seen it what my eyes have seen, and I have that confidence that certain teams. I really don't. I keep it 100. I really don't fear anybody in the first round. I'm thinking about. I'm more so in a chess move mentality where I'm thinking about the next round. Like, what team do I think they can be the least scathed when they leave the next round? And I think with Miami, I think they can beat Miami. I don't buy into this whole playoff juju that they be doing and all of that. I think if you have the team that can execute, you can beat the Heat. I'm not scared of them. I respect them, but I also know it will be this type of game for 6 or 7 games. And with a team with injuries, you're not trying to go through that until it's the conference finals. Right? So that's what kind of where I think of it. But at this point, I take them locking up a top 6 seed and just let the chips fall where they may. Whoever coming back, and let's ride this out.
And we have some photos, Jeff. We have some photos from the meetup that CP did down in Miami. So, Danny, if you could throw those back up again, let's see some of the photos again from the meetup. I think we saw CP with some of Knicks Nation down there. There we go. Look at CP.
Whoa.
Look at him with the stunner shades hanging out, I
mean,
enjoying life down in Miami right now. He's in warm weather. We're out here dealing with, rain and miserable nature.
Put him in the trunk.
Put him in the what?
My man got Put him in
the trunk.
My man, that Manscape money's hitting, boy. You see them shades? That Manscape money is coming in. It's like big bags. Big bags. I love it. I love it.
Oh, man. Shout out to CP for hosting an event down in Miami. Spoke with him during halftime of this game. Yo, they had 100 people show up in Miami for the event. They packed out the bar. All right. They packed out the bar. They're like, yo, we can seat the 25 friends you got coming through. He's like, no. He's like, I'm rolling with 100. All right. Stop. Like the guy's like, rolling with how many? It's like, yeah, we got 100 out here in Miami, people.
That's crazy.
Last minute meetup. We got 100 people just rolling out throughout Florida, going through to meet up to go see a Knicks game and chill. That's what's up, man. That's what it's all about. Hang out with people who love the New York Knicks. So salute to Knicks Nation for meeting up in Miami, hanging out with CP the franchise. All right.
Yeah, man.
Hanging out down there. Salute to Knicks Nation, to all you for tapping in tonight as well, man. Salute to all you for tuning in to KFTV Postgame Live. We appreciate all you, as always, for tapping in, watching us, and coming here for therapy. All right, tonight is another therapy session. We're on a 3-game losing skid. Unfortunately, the Knicks lost to the Miami Heat 109-99. But look, another day, and we get to live another day, man. We get to live another day. Knicks are still within the race of the Eastern Conference playoffs. They dropped down to the 5th seed, but hey, we'll see what the rest of this week brings. We got the Milwaukee Bucks. We got the Sacramento Kings next. And we also got the Chicago Bulls, I believe. So season's is close to winding down, but the Knicks still have an opportunity to get to 50 wins, and the Knicks still have an opportunity to potentially just solidify the 4 seed as well, which is what it looks like they're on track to do. So salute to all you once again. And let's get to the super chats because we appreciate all you for giving to the show as well. Salute to Constantine from Germany for the $6 euro. He said, salute, it shouldn't be tonight. Still got to grind it out for the last games. Let's go, Knicks. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Salute to you, Constantine, checking in from Germany. We also have from Chuck D a $10 super chat from Chuck D, the rhyme animal himself. He says, salutes Alex and Jeff. We've been lucky, unlucky, overachieving with our 7, 8, 9, 10 guys. Injuries matter. Now teams are tightening at their strength. I never quit on this team, though. Miami was waiting for us bleeding. That's true, man. Miami was just waiting to get their opportunity to pounce after we beat the brakes off of them the first 2 times. We got Hoodies Vintage with a $10 super chat. He said, another tough loss with questionable calls and coaching. This small lineup and slow starts are killing us. Bojan needs more minutes. Just space the floor. 45 minutes and 2 points for Hart is bad coaching. I don't know if it's bad coaching. Josh Hart just can't, he just doesn't play well against Miami, man. But for Bojan, tonight was a good night for him. He finally decided to not be a pumpkin and show what his game could be. He just got to be a little bit more consistent. We got a $5 super chat from Mr. G. He says, unless we get fully loaded again, going to the playoffs won't make any sense. Why burn the team out for no reason? What you all think? I don't know about you, Jeff, but I think you still go for the playoffs because you still got to see what you got on this roster. Everybody else still needs to fight and show that they can elevate their game some shape or form. What are your thoughts about that?
Agreed 100%. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Miami made an Eastern Conference Finals run when it should not have happened. And all it took was a couple of injuries in the first round and the second round to get there. And they were a breath away from getting to the finals. Anything can happen. You get into the tournament and let the chips fall where they may.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. We got a $10 super chat from Cool Vids Man. Says, Bogey finally gets hot and no plays are run for him in the last 2 minutes. Yeah, they took him out for Dante in the fourth quarter. Make it make sense. 3 straight disappointments in crunch time. Crunch time execution continues to be an Achilles heel for Tibbs. I don't know, man. This team is just running on fumes at this point. I know that these last few games, execution hasn't been great, but I mean, everybody knows what's coming. I mean, it's just going to be Jalen Brunson, so you just be on the lookout for Jalen. So they're trying to make everybody else beat them, and I think that's just going to be a tough ask from anybody asking McBride, Dante DiVincenzo, any one of those guys to really be that closing guy. It's still going to go to Brunson. You're always going to give it to your best player when it gets down to those minutes. No question about it. So it's just tough. It's unfortunate the situation that they're in right now. And then we got Tidsy2K joining the franchise channel membership. Salute to you for joining. It's all the super chats. And to all you, Knicks Nation, once again, thank you again for tuning in. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And make sure to share these videos. Share it with a friend. Share it with your family member. Share it with your cats and your dogs even. All right? It's a grassroots movement. We only get to grow larger by your support as well. Not only subscribing, but hitting the thumbs up button as well and telling people it's a free way to support us and helps us out oh so greatly. And you can also help us out by subscribing to any audio listening platform, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. If you can't catch a live show, you can always catch us on the go from any of those audio listening platforms. Also, make sure to support our sponsor. Make sure to support Manscape. Use that promo code KFTV to get 20% off and free shipping. And also use that promo code KFTV for Underdog Fantasy to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Also, make sure to support KnicksFanTV.com. All right, we got a bunch of great writers over there. Jalen Martin just dropped a fantastic article about the Knicks lineups and how that all plays out. So make sure to go support that article and all the others. We got Jeff, we got Remy, we got a bunch of other guys out over there that are contributing as well and just adding to the great work of Knicks Fan TV. And salute to you, Jeff, for joining me tonight and breaking down this game. and being the fellow therapist for tonight. So salute to you, Jeff. And please let the listeners know where they can find you if you got any upcoming work as well.
Yes, sir. Jeff J Says, all social media, and Jeff J Says on YouTube. We talk about all sports, sports culture commentary. Also going to have a little bit of wrestling and some comic talk. Of course, this is WrestleMania week, so definitely tap in with me. I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be out in Philly for the week covering WrestleMania. So you'll see a lot of sights and sounds from the weekend. And of course, at the big events and the Raw after WrestleMania. So I'll be tapped into that, expanding the wrestling to the channel. Alex, the people have been asking. They need some of that wrestling content. You already see I talk the talk, so I'm walking the walk when I go out there. So definitely shout out to KFTV Nation for supporting me, being on this channel, all my other endeavors. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all are super dope. And if y'all like wrestling talk, if y'all like comic talk, like sports culture commentary, what you see in the timeline, but a little more elevated, you can tap in with me. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. So make sure you go support our guy, Jeff Johnson, over at his channel as well. He does phenomenal work too. All right. And salute to all the mods, man. Salute to TM and the rest of the mod nation out there for always helping make sure the chat is running smoothly and keeping the communication, the engagement up there as always. So salute to all you guys, and we'll catch you later this week for when the Knicks face the Kings, the Bucks, and the Bulls. All right, everyone. We out.
Put him in the what? Put him in the trunk.